What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a mixtape hosted by Yung Joc. Basically this product is called Southern Conference Part 2 and it came out in the summer of 2006. So the thing about this particular product is I was looking for more Yung Joc projects from 2006 because I remember a number of his songs from 2006, one of which was Fuck You Pay Me, and I always wonder what happened to that particular song. It was by a cat named Sonny Valentine who at least had that particular single, but he never dropped an album as far as those pitches can happen, so it just basically became like a promo single. So I questioned if there were any home products that had it, and then I also questioned what happened to Yung Joc's mixtapes from 2006 because he had a pretty large 2006. I did at least review earlier this year Joc of Spades from 2006, and then there was obviously his album New Joc City, and then there was also the Block ENT label album that came out in like the spring of 2006 as far as those pitches gonna happen. But it just felt like Yung Joc probably had more products around that particular time, around 2006, and I just questioned it. I found most of the songs I remember from back in the day, 17, 18 years ago as far as those pitches kind of happened, but I still continue to question like the concept if there's any other Lucy's that are kind of around us within that pitch. I was able to find a couple more of these. Now the aspect behind this is a pretty shrouded and excellent type mixtape here. I just say a very excellent type fare, but Yung Joc is not on it a super ton. There are some extra. This is like this album cover says, it's hosted by Yung Joc, so it's just kind of the concept that he presents it. He does the skits and stuff like that, but it is a pretty good amalgamation. Definitely, there are 29 songs on here, and minus the six skits and interludes, that narrows it down to 23. And out of those 23, I wound up in some fashion, for the most part, recommending 20. Now, at least 10 and a half of those are ones that are kind of relatively exclusive just within the pitch, but then there's like 9 songs that are on other Yung Joc projects. Kind of like there's some songs on here that are on New Joc City, like Patron, I Know You See It, Do You Bad, some of those types of ones. Other type ones. There also are some remixes on here like Me and You by Cassie. It's interesting type pitch to kind of have this be a Puff Daddy and Cassie song with all the drama that's gone on recently, but there is Yung Joc, Puff Daddy are on the Me and You remix with Cassie, and then there's also like a Do It To It remix with Cherish as far as those pitches kind of happen. That was a popular song in early 2006. There's some good pitches kind of get that. There's the It's Going Down remix that's on here, a couple Grand remixes on here a couple of times. There's a number of remixes that do have their flair about it. The mildly unfortunate thing is just with like the remixes that are more actual songs that are by the R&B singers, they're kind of in the censored format, the clean edition, but I just look after, they still are some relative gems for the most part, just because I think possibly the remixes were also released to retail, so it's just kind of the concept about it. But yeah, it's just some good pitches going to get here. So there's not really a single off this particular mixtape. I do like the hosted type of appeal. This is a pretty good concept. I might start reviewing more hosted mixtapes if I can find them. I was really after like the concept of trying to find some more Yung Joc from 2006 because he pretty much had the Midas touch that particular year, so I wanted to see if I can find more. But I am starting to run out of songs I remember from Yung Joc around this time. I do remember a couple Graham, but that particular song was on the Block ENT mixtape. I don't remember what that one is called, but I reviewed it. It's in the Yung Joc playlist. But basically, I'll talk as if like Fuck You Pay Me is kind of the single on here. But just to say, I just would look after it. Once again, out of 23 songs on here, I wound up recommending 20. So the only 3 songs I don't recommend in any fashion would just be Swagger Back by Big KRIT, and Mary Jane by Tight Work, and then The South by Big KRIT. So basically, the unfortunate thing about those particular songs is just the fact that I like the Southern Fried aspect of Swagger Back, but it just didn't nail it as well as like normally that would. I feel like it was trying to attempt like the UGK type sound, but it just didn't do it with the same pizzazz or panache that particular affair that was trying to happen with it. Just really felt like this Southern Fried kind of type music, but just didn't nail it nearly as well. Mary Jane was just a poor Smokers type song. It had that same kind of breezy kind of Rick James type flair about it, but it just did not have like the same pizzazz that Rick James would particularly gonna have. I mean, obviously he's hard to replicate, but it's just kind of within the concept, just didn't nail it nearly as well. It just kind of felt like filler. And then like the South remix, I didn't really appreciate kind of the plotting production on that particular one. It was just not as affable one. The South was just kind of a frenetic type beat that just didn't nail it nearly as well as it needed to. So that's the concept. But yeah, I'm going to talk about Fuck You Pay Me. This is basically, might as well be the single. This is the best song on this particular product, but that's not to say within that fashion just because this product is pretty damn excellent. I'll go ahead and say this mixtape is going to get a 9 out of 10. Basically 20 out of 23 would basically be a 10 out of 10 if there weren't so many repeat songs. I just would have to narrow the score a bit just because of the concept that there are songs that you can just get on New Joc City as far as those pitches can happen, but there's enough new stuff and overall good bops on here to kind of say that it is basically a damn pretty damn excellent mixtape. But Fuck You Pay Me might as well be the exclusive song. This is a very hard to track down Yung Joc song. It's by a cat, and it's actually not Yung Joc's song. It's actually by a cat named Sonny Valentine, but I don't know what happened to him. He was around in the snap rap, ringtone rap era, 2006, 2007, but he just kind of dissipated and didn't really put out an album or pitches like that like he was supposed to. I want to say he at least had another single or two. I don't know if he had any mixtapes, but I tried looking him up like months and months ago, and I just didn't find much information. But basically, Fuck You Paid Me is like a vintage crunk and ringtone rap highlight. I would definitely have to say this song is very overlooked nowadays. I would definitely feel like Yung Joc definitely shreds this song. He really shreds apart. This is definitely one of those songs where he did have the Midas touch back in 2006. Just rips this song apart, has hella swag on this particular song, just really nails it. And this song just overall has some nice snarl. And Sonny Valentine does a pretty good job on here as well. It's just a good aspect to kind of get some of this type of stuff just within the pitch, this real bounce, this real good snap rap type bounce kind of have within that aspect. I'm really surprised that this song didn't chart. This is just a real affable type one. In a lot of fashions, this almost felt like a Yung Joc single. This probably off a New Joc City, just within the pitch behind it. But it was just kind of one that was a good look for Yung Joc around this time. It was a good look for Sonny Valentine, but Sonny Valentine just didn't capitalize. And then the song, Yung Joc lost steam later on in 2007. So it's just kind of concept. It was some good stuff. Definitely track down this mixtape just for this song. It's worth it. But yeah, to talk about some of these other ones on here, $1 Billion with Statco is a real nice hitter of one to kind of get here. It's like a ringtone rap kind of hopper. I would definitely feel like pretty similar. It's like a similar kind of two-step playlist with It's Going Down. I feel like if you're going to have a playlist with the song It's Going Down by Yung Joc, this would be a good song to have in there too. This really fits with that particular crunk and snap rap type style. And just overall pitch, definitely like a jazzy club blitzer, and this song has a lot of snap about it. Just snaps pretty damn well. So it's interesting to see that Statquo kind of had this particular style, because I don't know a super ton about Statquo as far as those pitches kind of happened. This was around the time, the summer of 2006. I want to say he was basically signed. To Shady Aftermath around this particular time, so it's a good concept just to see that he was on this Atlanta type sound. I want to say that Statquo might be from Atlanta. Originally, he was going to put out an album on Eminem's Shady Records called Statlanta, but he kind of had a quarrel with Eminem, which unfortunately sabotaged the album, which is vastly unfortunate when I think about it nowadays, because it would have been pretty excellent to have had Eminem on like some of that snap rap and ringtone rap type pitch. But apparently, like, Statquo didn't want to do a song that Eminem wanted him to do, and then things just kind of snowballed from there as far as this pitch can happen, which is vastly unfortunate. It would have been an excellent type pitch to have gotten it. But look, after just being able to say, I mean, Statquo is pretty damn dope just within some of these. I think he definitely probably would have had a blitzing type album, just like Cassius and some of those types of folks, I would have to say. But this is pretty excellent type song. This is another good highlight to download this tape for. Just kind of see some of the stuff he was on. I Love You, which is by the Yung Joc and Sherry Dennis, and a chick named Sherry Dennis, and then it has a Biggie feature on here. This song is like a killer kind of uncommon. Biggie verse. He definitely tears apart this song like normally Biggie kind of would, just within the pitch. I don't know who the original song was that he did this song, but it's a pretty awesome one to get here. It's like a jazzy kind of night on the town, kind of penthouse like New York style of a song to kind of get just within the aspect, and this is some good kind of step out to kind of get here. But this has a little bit more glitzy type fashion, and an interesting type song to kind of get this, because it's more New York type style. This is circa the mid 2000s. Just kind of pay attention. We're in a ton of jazzy type folks. I mean, you have to keep in mind that Biggie would have only been in like his early 30s around these times in like the mid 2000s, so it would have been a good pitch to have seen him on like some penthouse type vibes, this kind of more pinstripe type altitude like he probably was going to be later on as he advanced to like his mid and late 30s. Just with pitches like that would have been an excellent type concept. This has a lot of suaveness. This Sherry Dennis chick just brings a lot of glamour and just overall suaveness to this particular type song. Yung Joc actually holds up on this particular song. Would have been interesting to have a Yung Joc and Biggie song, but he does well enough on this particular song. I think the swag rap, it doesn't hit as fittingly as Biggie on this particular song in production, but it is good enough to be able to say that Yung Joc does have a flair about it. It's a good pitch. Look after it. Where you at with it with BG and T.I. is a nice one. It's like an uptown kind of city hop gutter cruise out of a song, I had to say. Definitely some errands out to kind of get done, pitches like that, simple task, some of that day type fare. It's like a sunny kind of glazed routine, I would feel like, in simple kind of hot day just to be able to have within that. So it's just good. This is just a good type pitch, I would have to say. Reminds me of something Bun B, UGK would do, some of those type folks. Pimp C on just like a standard routine type day, just really kind of glazed, kind of uptown, just slummish type feel just within the pitch behind it. But it works pretty well for that. Just get tasks done, get shit done like you're supposed to as far as those pitches kind of happen. Swerve Part 2 is a nice one as well. This has a real roaring type production on here. This real excellent type one. It's like a pounding kind of Texas fried cruise around. I would definitely feel like this is by Webby, Lil Boozy, and I think Bun B is on here. I have to keep. Actually, it's Pimp C. Yeah, it's like a Texas fried kind of cruise around. I would definitely feel like nice system jumper. I'd have to say Hell and Knock, and this is like a song to be high as a plane to, and it's just an overall pretty hot song to kind of get. It's excellent type fare. Just really something that reminds me of something that like Trey the Truth or Slim Thug would do. Some of those type folks that just have the Cadillac jump and some of that type fare. It's real southern fried just within the pitch and just the aspect, just being able to get some of that. It's real nice slow creeper as far as those pitches can happen. Just hear the sound system from away is just a good concept to have some of that. Just real nice thump, good concept for that. Busted Open's a nice one. This is by Big Country King. It's a pretty good pitch that Yung Joc had these features. I kind of question where the format of these particular songs kind of went, because I look after it just being able to say this particular mixtape, the DJ that hosts this particular mixtape is Wally Sparks. It's just an interesting concept as to how these songs were kind of secured. I don't know if Yung Joc himself threw together the money to get these particular songs, just the amalgamation behind it, because a lot of these are exclusives. At least to my knowledge, these are songs that were just kind of floating around that are not really on albums. Like the BG song's not on his 2005 albums with the Chopper City Boys, or just his solo stuff. Big KRIT wasn't dropping albums, at least not to my knowledge back then. David Banner, this was not on his 2005 album. Big Country King didn't have an album out in 2005, and it's not from, or 2006, and it's not off the PSC album. UGK wasn't really. It's just interesting to get some of these exclusives on here, and Statco didn't have an album out around this time, so it's just good pitch. But Busted Open, basically like a night venue kind of enjoyment here to kind of say it's like a low-key kind of feel-good mingle of a song to kind of get. Definitely primped night outing to kind of have just order drinks and simps as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just some strip club simping just within the aspect behind it. It's basic kind of mingle, this basic kind of slow groove kind of mingle as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just an aspect. This is not one of the most carnivorous compared to songs like Fuck You Pay Me, $1 Billion, and Swerve Part 2, some of those type pitches. Just a little bit more ambient type one, just kind of marinate a bit and just appreciate the night as far as those pitches kind of happen. Real good concept of that. It's a good, this nice snag of a song here from Big Country King. Just the fact that he nailed this without any help from PSC or TI as far as those pitches going to happen. It's just a good aspect. I'm going to have to get back to some of his music. But Pinko Let Up by Yola the Great's a pretty nice one. Now, he's also known as DG Yola. I need to check out some of his stuff. He's kind of a more low-key type cat. I wonder what some of his music would be like within that pitch. Apparently he has some albums, but it's like a swash kind of smoke up, feeling right kind of tune to kind of get here. Definitely some summery day routine. I'd have to say grab Subway sandwich, something like that. Hot day kind of vibe and kind of have. This is a real short, snappy kind of song to get on here. It's just kind of the aspect. Kind of reminds me of the, like the Soulja Boy song, just with those steel drums, some of those type pitches. It's a real summery type hopper of type 1. There's also kind of reminds me of Fast Life Youngsters a little bit, just within that relative. Just really feels like something tropical, some Sean Kingston type vibes around that relative pitch. And then Footwork Remix is a nice one as well. This has UGK on there, and then Mr. Big Time as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's like a stellar kind of crunk loud pack. I definitely would have to say it reminds me of Pastor Troy and Lil Jon. Pastor Troy and Lil Jon, some of those type folks. It's like traditional kind of 2000s crunk. I would feel like, and this is just good for like a glitzy kind of night here. So it's just an excellent type fare. Just works within that pitch. Yeah, this just feels like vintage kind of 2000s crunk as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just an excellent type fare just within the aspect behind it. Just real kind of just swirling type one just within the gnarledness of it, but the chorus is just real tore up, just get crunk, some of those type pitches. Those are some nice ones kind of get. I feel like it's pretty good with Swerve Part 2, but just a little bit more loud type one to kind of get a little bit more noise, riled up type pitch. Yeah, then there's an almost song on here that I kind of feel like, so it is kind of 19 and a half, but it might as well be 20 just within the pitch, because I do like this song for the most part, but it's just kind of the concept. But Get Money with David Banner, and then Yola the Great is a nice one here, but it's an almost song. I'd say this is like a pounding kind of hella bass 2000s crunk burner as far as those pitches kind of happen. This is just kind of a minimal, this has like a minimal production kind of dance tune as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's mostly all bass for the most part. Just has that noise of like a Lil Jon chorus in the hook as far as that particular kind of goes. And this is like a stock kind of crazy band. This is like stock kind of crazy song kind of get here. And David Banner shreds this particular song pretty well. He fits the song real well. Yola the Great does pretty good with it, but the thing about it is, I just didn't like the chorus just wasn't as good as the rest of the song. I'd have to say it's just a typical kind of crunk type one, just fuck that. This typical kind of Lil Jon-like chant as far as those pitches kind of happen. Normal kind of standard crunk type fare, but I don't know, it just wasn't as affable as normal. I just questioned the pitch behind it. I think if Lil Jon had done it, it just would have nailed it hella better, but I just look after the pitch behind it. It is a nice song. I do like the bass. This song definitely picks up, good one to get riled up to and ignites pretty damn well, but it's just kind of the concept. I felt like the hook was just not as blistering compared to normal crunk, I'd have to say, but I look after it. Still some good stuff. So to talk about some of these remixes on here, basically there's some nice ones, like Do It To It remix has a bunch of southern rappers on here. Surprisingly it has Chingy on there, which is pretty good pitch. He fits the song pretty well. Jody Breeze is on there. Just a good song to kind of get. I think it is the clean version, unfortunately, but it's still a pretty good remix just to be able to get. That Yung Joc does pretty well with it, I'd have to say. Me and You remix is a nice one. You know, this is an odd thing just because of what's going on with Puff Daddy, but it's a pretty good pitch to kind of get this particular song. Yung Joc and Puff Daddy did a number of remixes on the Bad Boy label in 2006. They also did one on Danity Kane's album, I forget what that song is called, but oh yeah, Showstoppin', something like that. I always wanted that song to be on like the Danity Kane album, but you have to download that one separately. I just wonder if it's on a project, but that is a nice remix. Like there's another remix on here, the It's Going Down remix is a pretty nice one that has a bunch of rappers on there. They all fit the song pretty well. Rick Ross, 2006 era Rick Ross from his Port of Miami days is on there. Slim Thug is on there. Paul Wall does pretty good on there. Trey the Truth is on there. Just a bunch of folks on there as far as those pitches kind of happen. I just look after it. Then there's a couple remixes to A Couple Grand or I'm the Man. The D4L song is I'm the Man, but the Yung Joc song is A Couple Grand. Just some good stuff. Trey the Truth's on the Yung Joc version of that song, and then on the original D4L version, there's Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, and Shoddy Low on there, which is pretty dope pitch, and in addition to Yung Joc, so it's good stuff to kind of get. And also on the It's Going Down remix, Yung Joc spits a new verse on that particular song, so he re-shreds the song just like he did on the original, so it's a pretty excellent pitch to get a new Yung Joc verse on that particular hit song, so that's pretty dope. There's just a number of songs like that on here. Once again, Yung Joc does not really deliver any new or exclusive songs. There's a couple songs on here, like This with Marquez Houston and that were kind of songs that were on Joc of Spades as far as those pitches can happen. So it's unfortunate that the only true Yung Joc exclusive that's not on any project it's not on any other project like the Block ENT album from early 2006 and like the Block ENT album from early 2006, Joc of Spades or New Joc City is just Fuck You Pay Me with Sonny Valentine. So, I mean, it's worth the download just for that particular song and some of these other hits on here that are brought to you by the hosting of Yung Joc. But it's just kind of the concept if you are looking for Yung Joc exclusive, something to kind of get to have for more fiery kind of Yung Joc in his primary. He just doesn't really give you that. There's nothing, he doesn't really give you anything else exclusive. That's the only unfortunate thing, but that's why this mixtape gets a 9 out of 10. I mean, normally 20 out of 23 would be like a 10 out of 10 in any fashion, but it's just the concept of there being, like, between the remixes kind of being the clean version, there not being enough Yung Joc exclusives, and just the concept that there's not enough, there are exclusives on here, but they're just not by Yung Joc, so it's just kind of dumb. But a 9 out of 10 is nothing bad, so I just look after it's just within the pitch. But the social score I'll probably give like a 9.5 out of 10, because I feel like a lot of these songs are pretty quality. There are some showstoppers. There's definitely some ones to go for immediately. Fuck You Pay Me is one of the best moments on here. Definitely need to scoop that song up. I'd say it's Swerve Part 2, which is another Lil Boozy and Webby type team up with UGK members. Is a pretty nice one. Statquo has a show-stealing verse on the particular song $1 Billion. Definitely makes me wish for that Statlanta album and just more pitches from him in like the mid-2000s. Some definite immediate ones on here. The Footwork remix with UGK is a pretty nice one to kind of get, and there's just some other surprises on here within the relative pitch, and some of these remixes are pretty good as well. At least, I want to say at least the Yung Joc remixes, like It's Going Down and A Couple Grand, some of those type ones are at least the explicit versions, but I think some of the ones that are like the R&B singers aren't, so it's just within that pitch. But yeah, it's a pretty well-varietized, versatile type mixtape that has a lot of good bounties about it, some social snap on here, some good club thumpers, and a lot of crunk nightclub snarl kind of gets. So I'd say 9.5 social. In terms of the future, like Yung Joc has not been around since like the early 2010s as far as those pitches can happen. I think he still drops like the occasional verse, but for the most part I'm going to get to some more of these. I can't really think of too many other Yung Joc 2006 songs that I have not had on like a project, so I kind of think maybe 2006 Yung Joc is taken care of now, but he does have some other mixtapes. I'm going to start getting to 2008 Yung Joc, some of those type fairs, because there is a lot more bounties to kind of get to, so I'll get to some of those. But yeah, this is definitely worth the investment.